All right, let's do a mic check real quick, and we are going to get right on to this. Mic check one, two. Yeah, what a pretty interesting fight card with Sean Strickland. And as you know, Sean Strickland is one of the most controversial figures. Okay, so just wanted to make sure we had the mic check on that one. Yeah, Sean Strickland, as you know, is one of the most controversial figures in mixed martial arts. I've had a few run-ins with Sean Strickland, mostly online, and you see it right there. I posted this was back in 2019, where I posted something to the effect of basically talking about how there was a rainforest fire going on in Brazil at the time. And so I thought to myself, you know what? I thought this would be really interesting to post. There's some Saudi Arabian brothers that are out there donating to the rainforest in Brazil. And so lo and behold, guess who comes onto my page? None other than Sean Strickland back in 2019 saying exactly what you see him say right here on on the thumbnail. Um, that's just Sean Strickland in a nutshell, guys. Sean Strickland is the type of guy that feels like he's going to say what he wants. He's going to do what he wants. But then at the same time, there's really no rhyme or reason behind it. And I thought that it was important to bring that up, which I also think it's important to bring up the fact that he was a former Nazi gang member in Southern California, which, by the way, is really interesting considering that Edward Norton, who played Nazi leader in Southern California, okay, was pretty much based upon that type of gang that Sean Strickland was surrounded by. If you watch American History X and you watch the evolution of Edward Norton's character in the movie, you start to notice that the guy has a lot of underlining issues and anger. For one, his father, who was a firefighter, gets shot by some gang members in Compton while he was serving as a firefighter, right? Which, by the way, it's kind of crazy because we all know that there is a certain level of animosity towards police way before the George Floyd days, way before the Trayvon Martin days, and way before the Mike Brown days, and even as far back as way before even the Rodney King days, right? Yes, the police are controversial in that when it comes to the hood and things of that nature. But a firefighter, now that's pretty crazy, right? And it kind of radicalized Edward Norton's character in the movie, where he basically became this full-pledged white nationalist, and then eventually became a neo-Nazi, and then became one of their top leaders, but then became reformed as he served his time, only to come out and renounce the entire ideology of Nazism. Now, Sean Strickland is no different in this particular aspect, right? Because you look at Sean Strickland now, a lot of his training partners are African American. He's trained with a lot of Russians as well, similar to the opponent that he's fighting this weekend as Saturday. He's trained with a lot of Russian Muslims, such as Kamzat. He's trained with different jiu-jitsu guys, Mexican guys, black guys, non-white guys. And then he's mentioned something to the effect also that later on in his life, he sort of realized that the white people that he rolled with in his Nazi gang were just not really all that loyal, at least in comparison to his, let's say, minority friends that he started gaining as he started training in MMA, and then started building this different life for himself, and then just reforming himself into this, well, I wouldn't say inclusive to any degree, but I would say a much more reformed version of, well, let's just say that, yes, he was a white supremacist, but then when he got out of it, did he really just change at all. And I would say, yes, he did change, but not so much in a radical sense, right? He became a lot more of what you would consider the closet racists out there. Or I'm not saying in any way that these people who have these certain views about immigrants or xenophobic views or anything like that, or make fun of other people's culture or this and that, which is something that Sean Strickland still does till this day. Uh, so you got to think that yes, he is somewhat of a reformed person who was a former neo-Nazi, but at the same time, the ethos that he has left from in his previous life isn't really that far off in his current life, or at least not so much. Like, obviously, he'll train with minorities now, but then he has these views about nationalism, views about who is American or who's considered American or who should come here or this and that, or just saying a lot of things that are kind of insensitive that don't really have any rhyme or reason behind it. Like, for example, he goes on to Ariel Hawani's show. He talks about how, oh, Ariel Hawani is, this type of guy. He's a wuss. He's this and that. He lets people do things with his wife, or not in those words. I probably sounded like the beginning of the Live and Die in LA song from Tupac's intro. If you guys listen to that song in the beginning, it has a radio host talking to different people. It's like, what do you think about Tupac's new song? Yeah, he's talking about killing people, blah, 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 and not in those words. But yeah, that's pretty much the same thing that you get out of that. So with Sean Strickland, obviously he's become one of the top 185ers in the division right now, and he's beaten a lot of sound guys in his career. But on top of that, he's also been beat by some of the top echelons of the sport, such as former champions, such as Alex Pereira. Kamaru Usman comes to mind, right? But then when he takes on these other guys, I mean, he's in there and he's either hanging with the likes of Jared Cannonier for 5 rounds, or he's in there knocking guys out in, I get what you would consider the lower top 10, lower top 15. But either way, whether the guy is going to become a champion or not, or whether he's going to become a #1 contender, in which Israel Adesanya has cited in the past, saying that he was willing to give this guy an opportunity. All he had to do was just get a certain win, just like Dricus du Plessis right now. He has an opportunity to get a title shot, but he just needs to beat none other than Robert Whittaker, which isn't probably the easiest task to do, right? Nonetheless, when you have Sean Strickland at hand, why is it that Israel Adesanya was attracted to fighting this guy? Is it because he's one of the best in the world? Maybe. But Alex Pereira will say otherwise. Obviously, Usman will say otherwise, and any other guys out there that has beaten him, Jared Cannonier, will say otherwise. What Sean Strickland has going on is a strong following. In other words, the type of following that he has going on, it's sort of in the trajectory of these misguided, angry, working class white guys in America that really don't know how to express their anger, whether it be anger towards immigrants or people like themselves who are losing their jobs to people that are immigrants, or these people that are angry about the certain political structure that is going on right now, being that Joe Biden is in power in comparison to Trump, or basically questioning the legitimacy of the elections. That is the linear trajectory and way of thinking that Sean Strickland attracts. Now, you look at right here, right, in this little interaction that I had with him online. Like, obviously, back in 2019, there was a bit of a rainforest issue in Brazil. I think a fire had caught on or something to that extent. Well, a Saudi billionaire decided to go and donate some firing equipment in order to fight this fire, right? So what does Sean Strickland say? He says, Muhammad said, protect the trees, just not the women laughing my butt off. And then my friend Chico Sosa right here, a pro fighter who I know up in Portland, Oregon, he mentioned something to the effect is like, yeah, Sean Strickland, yeah, you're missing the point, and surely that's really the reality of this whole thing, right? Now, you got to think, what does he mean by Muhammad said, protect the trees? Is he saying that the guy who is the Saudi billionaire that is pictured up top, is he supposed to be Muhammad? Or is that supposed to be some sort of stereotype as to say that all Muslims are named Muhammad? Or is he talking about Muhammad, the prophet himself, peace be upon him? Either way, this is an obvious xenophobic dig. And I know that a lot of guys who are like, let's say, right wing people or something to that effect will look at this and say something to the conclusion that, oh, you're just being sensitive or you're being a wuss or this and that. And that's kind of their response to everything, right? Whenever you somehow challenge your notion or their racial undertones that they want to go out and express to you in any kind of way, somehow it's deemed as somewhat of like some kind of social justice warrior BLM agenda, when all you're really trying to do is just call them out on their racist or xenophobic comments, right? Or trying to challenge these notions, but then they go and challenge it by nullifying your manhood or calling you certain names or telling you that you're being sensitive or something to that effect, which, I mean, obviously it's really not any different than what any abuser would do, right? When you're trying to fight back at them, they go and they claim victimhood to a certain extent. But nonetheless, that's the narrative that Sean Strickland goes with. So right now, let's take a look at some of Sean Strickland's, what do you call it, media day interaction, which I think is really interesting, right? And we're gonna try to react to this, and then we're gonna analyze some of the things that he says to kind of understand the psychology he has going on. Right? Okay, so the reason why they're talking about how Sean Strickland has sponsors going on right now.
I mean, it's been a while since I've been here. Yeah, man, I'm going places in life. People are giving me fucking money.
So right now, he's just basically talking about how he's getting sponsorships from Monster. I don't know if that's a reality or if that's an exaggeration. Obviously, every UFC fighter who's wearing the Venom shorts, they're going to have the Monster logo on their shorts, and this is a mandatory uniform for everybody that's fighting in any UFC card. So I don't know if that's just tongue in cheek what he's saying, or if there's some reality to that basis, but nonetheless, that's what he's talking about right now. But yeah, the reason why I thought this was important to analyze some of the things that Sean Strickland says is because not only is it interesting from a social conscious perspective, right? Understanding who Sean Strickland is, also understanding where he comes from and the mental trajectory that has brought him to where he's at and the interesting life path that he's gone through. It's also kind of good to understand his fighting psychology and where his mindset is headed going into these fights. So here we are.
Money now, it's fucking nice. It's really nice.
Is it kind of a weird? I mean, you've been doing this forever, but the attention around you is greater than it's ever been. Is it kind of weird that all of a sudden people are starting to really pay attention to you?
You know, it's funny, man. Someone posted a picture of me like back at my welterweight days, and everyone's kind of like, "How the fuck did that happen? Like, why you changed so much?" So like, people don't understand, dude. From like the age of like birth to I don't know, fucking 14, 15. I was like this fucking white trash, like neo-Nazi, angry fucking kid. So the moment I started fighting, I was like, man, I don't want to be that fucking guy. Like, I want to go be like fancy. I want to wear a suit, want to have hair. Like, I want to get all the pussy, you know, like I want to be a better version of myself.
So far, what I'm noticing with Sean Strickland right now is self-realization, right? And which is good. And that's something that I think a lot of people have to take into consideration, right? Again, this isn't anything new. Obviously, we all know about his past now, which he has mentioned plenty of times, something that a lot of people have cited other than him. But it's really important to point out that, yes, he has a lot of self-realization into who he was and what he has become and what he's tried to be. And then this new change that he's trying to do that he doesn't suit him or fit him in any kind of way. But let's continue on from here.
So anyways, I grow my hair out long. I go to welterweight, and then I get my motorcycle accident, and then I just kind of realize I'm a white trash loser, minus the racist part. So it's like, I think people are just, they like authentic. They like my authentic self.
Yeah. Well, I know there was a time where you were like, nobody's ever going to sponsor me because they don't like my authentic self. I mean, do you worry now that like I gotta maybe tone back a little bit of what I say?
I got some sponsorships from like a strip club to like fucking go to go fucking do it. I'm not gonna fucking do it, but I would like a better class to sponsor. Maybe like some motorcycles. If you guys got a motorcycle business or a truck business, a car business, hook it up. Titties and gambling, bro. It's not really my fucking thing. I do like the titties. I love the titties, but I'm not a big fan of the strip clubs.
All right, good to know. Shocking, maybe.
Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting right there because, like I said, like what the title or description has mentioned, I really think what Sean Strickland has going on right now is some sort of like Stone Cold Steve Austin modern type of gimmick or persona that he has going on, except he's not really playing a persona or a gimmick in any kind of way, which is very authentic. Now, if you guys know anything about pro wrestling or Stone Cold Steve Austin or the Attitude Era that consisted of DX, that consisted of The Rock, that consisted of the NWO, one of the greatest generations of pro wrestling ever, which, by the way, was very impactful even to modern pro wrestling right now. Stone Cold Steve Austin came into his character in a very organic way. Now, what was Stone Cold Steve Austin? Somebody similar to Sean Strickland, right? White trash, likes to drink beer, likes to curse, likes to speak his mind, likes to offend people whenever he wants, and is the type of guy that will randomly get into a street fight with anybody at any time. And almost kind of like a very sociopathic vibe that Stone Cold Steve Austin had in his character, which, by the way, he can later cite and say that it was an influence from this Brian Bosworth action movie called Stone Cold, where he was basically this guy that didn't really care about anything, went into action, was a guy that was working for the law, and then was a guy that was working against the law, and was a guy that was doing his thing. But nonetheless, that's really interesting that now Sean Strickland is coming around and becoming this guy that is marketable and somebody that is acceptable to a certain segment of mixed martial arts fans. And by the way, the majority of hardcore mixed martial arts fans aren't really that far away from Sean Strickland's personality, especially on the American side of things, especially on this side of the world, in USA, in the Midwest, in Texas, in all these redneck states and all these other states that I guess will share the values of Sean Strickland and what have you. But continue on.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you know what it is, guys? I'm going to tell you something deep. I'm going to have a deep moment with you guys. My dad was a fucking scumbag, super fucking scumbag. So anything that man did, I tend to just fucking hate. So, alcohol, drugs, strip clubs. I like titties, though. I mean, fuck, I reserve it for Pornhub.
All right, so talk about the offer for this fight. I mean, I'm guessing there's no way you knew who I was as a fighter, or had you crossed paths with?
No, I had no idea who the fuck he was. So I've been hounding the UFC to fight. I have an offer to do at 205, but Mick didn't want me to fuck up the rankings because there's a lot of 205ers I fuck up. So I had a conversation with Mick, and he pretty much said he offered me a couple ranked guys. I said yes to. They said no. So I either had a choice, man. I wait fucking 8 months or I fucking fight. And, the money was right, and here we are. I mean, we all fight for money, man. I mean, like, if the dollar is right, I will fucking do it, man. I will fucking do it. So we came to a good terms, good pay, and here we are fighting Abu.
Are you ready to put out the names of those people that said no to you?
Oh, no, man, no. I'm a nice guy. I'm
when
a
did
nice
that
guy.
happen?
Well, here, the thing is, you guys, like, the top division, bro, we all fucking know each other. We train with each other. We all fucking know each other. So it's like, it just fucking is what it is, man. But yeah, no, I'm happy with the Boo. I don't really know much about the guy. Do you have any pointers for me?
Not a lot. He's got some power. Big guy. I mean, nothing you haven't seen before.
Is he a German or is he a Daggy?
He's a Russian that I believe lives and trains.
Okay, so before we get into the juicy stuff of the things that he's going to say about Abu here, what's really fascinating about Sean Strickland is that he has mentioned that he never really did his homework on this guy. And let's talk about the technical aspects of this before we get more into the deeper psychological and social issue matter of this, right? So the way that Sean Strickland trains, he goes and spars full blown, doesn't really have a plan, doesn't really have any methodical reasoning behind it, doesn't have any rhyme or reason with what he does in his training. I don't think he even goes and runs. And if he does, it's not within a conscious effort to connect it with, let's say, a sparring day or a conditioning day or a circuit day or a jiu-jitsu day. He puts on the gloves and his mouthpiece, goes to the gym and spars anyone that he could find there. And I think from a technical perspective, there's positives and negatives out of this, right? Because number one, the negative thing about this is that you really don't know anything about the opponent that you're walking into. So if you're going in there with a tricky opponent that has a certain style that may be elusive, that may have an unorthodox way of moving, or may have a certain jiu-jitsu style that is a little bit different than the conventional means that you're used to in the rolling sessions that you do in the gym, perhaps maybe they're going to present to you some problems during fight night. The type of problems that you were not prepared for and you didn't prepare for. So those are some of the drawbacks in Sean Strickland's style of just going to the gym and then just sparring it out without any rhyme or reason, and then not having a real coach behind him. But yeah, now let's get to the interesting social aspect of some of the comments Sean is going to say here.
Germany at time.
Okay, so he's not a German.
Yeah.
Does he have German citizenship?
Now that I don't know. Might have dual passports.
It makes me laugh, dude. Like, so all these stupid fucking Germans, right? Fucking, they lost their nuts after 1948 or 1950, whatever year that happened. All these fucking Germans, like, are on my fucking Twitter posting their fucking flag of every war they've ever fucking lost. You fucking weak fucks. You guys have never done anything fucking impressive. The only thing you guys ever done is fucking lose. But anyways,
you're not gonna call it anybody at middleweight.
So what?
You'll call it an entire nation, but you won't call out fellow.
Well, you know, it is what it is. But all these stupid fucking Germans, bro. These after they gave away their fucking country, bunch of losers. So these stupid fucking Germans, they're always.
So notice this, right? If Sean Strickland was to say this about any other nation, let's say if he was to say the stupid country A from Africa, or country B from Asia, or country C from the Himalayas of some sort. Now, he would be considered racist for saying that, but because he's saying this about Germans, and let's just call it what it is, a white majority nation or a white indigenous nation of some sort, no one really has a problem with it. And again, I think that's really interesting to bring that up, because let's be fair and objective about this particular topic, right? So just thought I'd bring that up. But another thing I wanted to bring up with that is in Germany, one of the interesting things about the Germans is that ever since World War II, and this is literally what he's citing, is the post-Hitler Nazi regime days of Germany. Now, obviously, the Germans lost. They were humiliated. They were defeated. And not only humiliated, but ashamed because of the cultural implications that they had brought into World War II, becoming Nazis, gassing a certain population of people, on top of the fact that they were a very exclusive-minded nation to where they only favored whites and anybody that was allied to them to that degree. So there's a lot of controversy, a lot of shame that came into that, which I think really drove the Germans to the left. And this is the reason why you see that Germany now is a highly progressive, highly left-wing liberal country, and maybe sometimes to their own detriment. But continue on.
Posting like German flags on my shit. Like, I'm like, you motherfuckers understand this man ain't German. Like, are you representing fucking Dagestan, Russia? Like, what the fuck are you representing? This man ain't a fucking German. Shut the fuck up, you fucking idiots.
All right, so how did you training for this gentleman, knowing nothing about him, not worrying about his game? Do you do anything specific that's too beat for him, or is it just kind of
like what he normally does?
Oh, fuck, dude. Normal routine. I don't know, man. He has like a big loop punches. So here's the thing about him. He fought Saudi Sai. Saudi Sai is the fucking man. He just got that badass highlight knockout. I recommend you guys watch it.
EFL fighter.
But he fought Saudi side when Saudi wasn't very good, and Saudi gave him a run for his money. So, and now Saudi would fucking walk through him. So, I mean, I have a good understanding of him. Big punches. He likes to wrestle occasionally. You know, fucking, he's a guy. Abu from Aladdin.
Right, of course, he had to go add that in as
I know you said money's right, you'll fight anybody, but here, I mean, you're kind of doing a favor, right? You're fighting the unranked guy when you don't have to do that. Do you make any demands after this and say, hey, don't put me in that situation again? Now I deserve something up here or anything like that?
I mean, if the money is right, you guys, if they fucking, I'll fight anybody with the money is right. So, I mean, I would like to fight fucking Izzy. You know, I think Dreykus is going to, I think Whitaker's going to fuck Dreykus up. I think we all know that. That's kind of like a fight-wise that's happening. Dreykus fought Brunson. Is Brunson retired yet? No, he's not retired yet. I mean, Brunson. When's the last time you've seen a top 10 guy quit on the stool? Have you ever seen that? You don't see that shit. So it's kind of embarrassing that Dreykus gets, you know, a potential shot. But, you know, Izzy, the true Chinese, they probably want to bring a real African back to the championship. Hey, can you guys believe that shit? Is that real? When he says, look at the color of my skin. Did that really happen?
So what Sean Strickland is talking about here is Israel Adesanya claiming that he is a Chinese when he was kickboxing up in China. Now, what's really fascinating about mixed martial arts in its modern conception right now, and not only that, combat sports in general, is his whole entire identity of who you are, where you're from, and sometimes the privilege that you get in terms of promotion that comes with that. Like I mentioned in the past, if you're Australian, if you're Dagestani, or if you're an African fighter from a certain country, let's say Nigeria, right? You're going to have a natural fan base that's just going to follow you regardless, right? And then it's going to help you in your promotions. It's going to help you in your ticket sales. It's going to help you in your recognition. It's going to help you in your views that you do in your interviews. It's going to help you with your appearance and the algorithm in which you're going to be set with the videos that you're featured in as a fighter. So yeah, all these things matter, right? When you are represented from a certain country. Now, what was Izzy's mindset when he was kickboxing in China? Well, here's the thing. Izzy in and of itself is a very interesting character. First of all, he's a New Zealand current world champion, right? From New Zealand, but originally from Nigeria. His parents were planning on moving to America up until 9/11 happened. And then they decided, we're just not going to go to America because it just wasn't the safest bet at the time. And of course, everybody back then didn't really have a great understanding of what the implications were with this type of terrorist attack, whether it was going to happen continuously or this and that. But not to go off on a tangent, nationality and the nation that you represent is really important in your marketing tool. So for Izzy to claim China, he's basically, how do I say this? Trying to rally 1 billion people behind him by saying that he's Chinese, or maybe he's thankful to be competing in the platform that they have in China and the media outlets that were covering all these kickboxing fights that he had participated in. So, yeah, I just thought I'd bring that up. It was a really interesting thing that Sean Strickland is bringing up here, and quite funny at the same time. Like, if you think about it, like he's saying that, oh, he's Chinese, or Israel Adesanya is this or this and that, which saying all these ridiculous things that just doesn't seem to add up or make any sense. But nonetheless, let's continue on with Sean Strickland here.
Is that real? Yeah, no. You know what I'm talking about. You fucking know, you GQ motherfucker. Did that really happen?
I believe, yeah, when he was fighting in China regularly, he said he felt like he was representative of the...
Yeah, so this fucking clown, this fucking loser, bro. They need to revoke your black card, bro. I don't even look at you like a black man. I look at you like the fucking Chinese. This fucking asshole, bro. No, this is real talk, bro. I don't know how Izzy goes and hangs out with his black buddies and like represents Africa, because, dude, you're fucking a clown. So this motherfucker, dude, for you, because you haven't seen it, there's a skit of him saying, look at my skin. Look at my skin color. You might think I'm a black man from Africa. I'm wrong. I'm from China.
I don't think he brought up skin color. I think it was just nationality.
Whatever the fuck it was, dude. Whatever Whatever the fuck.
I didn't remember that part of it.
But either way, guys, I'm not a, I don't fucking know these things, but yeah. So I guess they wanted Chinese versus.
I think I know what Sean Strickland is referring to. A lot of people are sort of puzzled by what he said, but I know exactly what Sean Strickland is getting at. What Israel Adesanya said a while back was that he thought that having the UFC belt around his waist would look great. He said that black on gold would look good together. So that's what I think Israel Adesanya was referring to, that black looks good on gold, meaning that if he was to wrap the gold belt around his waist, right, him being a black man and having a black skin, that those two contrasting colors go good together. I think that's what Israel Adesanya was referring to and what Sean Strickland is repeating right here. But he doesn't really know or understand where he had heard that from. He just heard Israel Adesanya say, "Oh, my skin is black," and he went crazy. And the former Nazi in him just started getting invoked into saying these things out of anger towards Izzy. But here it is.
An African champion this time. Yeah, fucking revoke that man's black card.
Do you think if
And
you
of course,
do
by saying
win
that, he's just trying to,
and,
yes,
Rob wins
yeah.
again, they will pick you? Because I think obviously Israel wants to fight new guys, and the third time with Rob again in Sydney, in Australia, you think they maybe want to try something different?
I mean, this is a fun fight, man. It's just a fun fucking fight. It's like you take Abu. Who the fuck is Abu? Let's just say Abu knocks me the fuck out and he becomes a champion.
You could.
Who the fuck is Abu? Do you really want Abu as a fucking champion contender? Does that guy even fucking speak English? He speaks English a little bit. Okay. Well, there we go, man. I don't know. I barely.
Yeah. So aside from Sean Strickland's xenophobic comments again and the racial undertones that he has going on with this, he's right about something. He is right that a lot of these Dagestani guys, a lot of these Russian guys, and a lot of these, well, hold on, we have a comment right here. Hey, how do you feel about MMA prospect Anita Bath? Okay. I don't know much about her. What weight class does she fight in? Put below in the comments if you have a certain weight class that she's at, or obviously because you're citing this person to me. So if you have a weight class that she has, I'd like to know, and I'd like to check her out. But what was I saying about Sean Strickland here for a second? What was he? Hold on.
Like, you take Abu. Who the fuck is Abu?
Oh,
Let's just say Abu knocks me the fuck out.
So what I was saying was that, yeah, when you're a Dagestani champion or when you're a Russian or this and that, look, the thing is that you're not really going to be that famous or become this pay-per-view celebrity. 125. All right, I'm going to check her out. Thanks for that, man. So he's right about that. Sean Strickland is 100% right about the fact that if you can't speak English or you can't connect with the fans, I mean, it's going to be very difficult for you to sell tickets. But at the same time, imagine if Sean Strickland was champion. Let's imagine a world where he's champion. You imagine how much of a PR disaster that can be for Sean Strickland to be a world champion. The fact that he says all these things about Israel Adesanya being Chinese, calling him a Chinaman, saying all these crazy things, all these things that he says about, who should stay in a country and who shouldn't, who should represent who or what. At the same time, look, what we're trying to get at is Sean Strickland is a very reasonable guy. That's the conclusion that I'm trying to give you out of this entire thing. If you just want to skip to the end and give you the spoilers right now, that's the point that I'm trying to make. He's a reasonable guy, but misunderstood. In the world that we live in right now, it's very difficult for you to just go out and say things and somehow not have people convey it in a negative manner. And obviously, Sean Strickland, he's not the most articulate guy. He's not the most even smartest guy or the sharpest tool in the shed. Nonetheless, he's a PR disaster. What is it? Strickland is right about Izzy. He actually made that video doing exactly what Sean said, pointed at his skin, and I'm a Chinese man. Okay, so Gino, what I wanted to say, what I said earlier in the video before you had joined us, was I mentioned something to the effect that what Sean Strickland was referring to about the skin color was that I believe Israel Adesanya said that gold would look good with black, meaning that if he was to wrap the gold belt around his waist, it would go good with his, I guess, black skin or whatever. So yeah, that's basically what Israel Adesanya was referring to. And then Sean Strickland obviously wanted to use that as some kind of punchline or low-hanging fruit to get back at Izzy. But furthermore,
and he becomes the champion. Who the fuck is Abu? Do you really want Abu as a fucking champion contender? Does that guy even fucking speak English? He speaks English a little bit. Okay. Well, there we go, man. I don't know. I barely speak fucking English. But yeah, dude, fucking, like, man can't fight during fucking Ramadan and shit.
So yeah, I mean, and then he had to bring that up that he can't fight during Ramadan. So that's kind of what Sean Strickland does, right? After he basically said something to the effect that, like, yeah, the guy can't, speak English. Oh no, he can speak English. Okay, he kind of backtracks a little bit, because he kind of feels stupid now that somebody said that he can speak English. So now he has to. That's kind of what he is in that kind of sense. But let's continue on. It was a promo for UFC's China's Instagram. I can link it. Okay, for sure. Let's see. So,
but fucking yeah, man. I mean, I deserve a shot, you guys. Let's make it happen. Worst case scenario, do mean is fight in the fucking parking lot because that shit needs to happen.
What was it like training with Alex Pereira?
Oh, dude, Alex is a man. Quick word from my sponsors.
But is it when you sparred with him, just curiously, when you sparred with him, did you think like, oh, this is where I fucked up in that fight, or oh, this is what I would do different in a rematch, or is it?
No, fuck no. I'd kickbox the guy again. It's funny. Us sparring him and like, dude, I did well. I thought I won most rounds, but every round he hit me with at least one punch where I'm like, I don't know how that would have felt with a 4-ounce glove. So the thing is, you guys, I'm fucking dumb. I'm like a fucking dog with a bone, dude. I get like, if you tell me I'm a bitch and I can't do something, I'm gonna fucking do it. I'm gonna fucking do it. So like, if me and Alex were to fight, what would happen is someone say, "Oh, you're gonna stand up and bang with him again?" I'd be like, "Fuck you and fuck him. I'm gonna fucking bang with him, and I'll probably get knocked out again." But yeah, he's a good dude. He's all offense, no defense, all power. Yeah, he really solid fucking guy. Like Brazilians, man, they have like this old school, like America, you guys, we're all a bunch of degenerate fucks, like I was talking to one guy, like I was joking about, growing up and my dad fucking snorting oxys off the table and my mom trying to bang somebody, and this foreigner comes up to me, he's a UFC guy. He's like, Sean, why would you disrespect yourself like that? I'm like, dude, Americans, we are so royally fucked. Like we have so much fucking degeneracy in our, like who we are. I can't even pretend not to be a white trash motherfucker. I look in the mirror and I wear a suit and I just think all the bad shit I've done, all the bad shit I've seen. I'm like, what are you fucking doing, you loser? So forwarding to these fucking dirty Brazilians, it was nice, man. They have like a good community. They fucking barbecue. They hang out. It was some good wholesome shit, man. America.
So a little psychology on this aspect, right? What Sean Strickland is citing right now is something that he misses from other white Americans out there, right? Because remember, one of the reasons why Sean Strickland is not a neo-Nazi anymore is because a lot of the guys that were in his gang felt like they betrayed him for whatever reason. He doesn't give you specific reasons as to why. He doesn't say in these interviews. I'm talking about like past interviews that I've heard from him where he's mentioned how every white guy that he has in his gang or that he's ever been affiliated with the neo-Nazis down in Southern California have betrayed him, in contrasting nature to his black friends, his Latino friends, his other non-white friends, his Russian friends, his Chechen friends that he trains with, right? He feels as if he is a lot more connected with them than these white guys that have really no morality. So what Sean is basically saying is that he's sort of envious to the world. I think YouTube removed the link. My phone is glitching too. Which one? Oh, the link with Izzy, yeah, where he actually said he points at his skin and effectively says, I may look black, but I'm a Chinese man. Yeah. But what Izzy was trying to do with that was he was trying to garner the attention of the Chinese crowd because he knew that it would be a big part of his brand. And remember, one thing that I got to tell you guys is that Sean Strickland and I believe Israel Adesanya are managed by the same guy in LA, which is none other than El-Kheer from Paradigm Sports. So yeah, they are affiliated with the same management company. And El-Kheer, as you guys know, is also the manager of Conor McGregor. So this guy is big time Hollywood. He not only has affiliations with the NFL, with the NHL, with other soccer leagues and other players of major sports, but he has this roster of people that are in his roster as well in the UFC. He's also had the likes of Tony Ferguson as part of that Paradigm Sports roster. If you remember, Tony Ferguson back in the days, or not too long ago, said that he was going to drop out of Paradigm Sports, which he did because it was a conflict of interest in possibly fighting Conor McGregor later on. But not to get on the tangent with that. So Sean Strickland is liking the fact that these Brazilian guys, these Chechenian guys, and maybe even these other Black Americans have this sense of unity and community that he just feels that these white folks in America don't have anymore. But continue on with Sean Strickland here.
Americans, we need to go back to like taking women out of the workforce. And maybe that's maybe that's where we fucked up, you guys. We let women vote. No offense, but let me I want to tell you guys something. Think about America prior to women voting. They try to ban alcohol. I don't even drink, but I'm not trying to ban alcohol. So what you did, man, you let these women come in the workforce. Now we make less money. You got kids raising themselves on fucking TikTok. We need to go back to like 1942, especially after, maybe 1958 after we fucked up the Germans. We need to put women back in the kitchen. We need to take only one man needs to be working. So I think as a collective man group, we need to elect somebody that's going to put women back in the kitchen, put one man working, raise the wages, and build a fucking wall.
Have you ever thought about going to therapy, Sean?
For what?
Just you talk about your dad and your background. I'm curious if you ever thought about going to therapy.
I don't know, man. Did you have good parents? Did no one touch you growing up?
Well, as try as I might know.
Oh, sure. I was checking.
Of course, Sean has to drop.
No, man. The problem with therapy, I think they would just convince me to like fucking start killing everybody. I would already imagine if I went to therapy and like, let's unpack some of your issues. And as I start uncovering these buried bad dreams I had, and I start realizing these bad dreams are real life, I'm like, fuck him, grabbing my gun. You're right, Doc. Kill these motherfuckers. But yeah, no, I'm a good dude. I'm a good soul. I don't know, man. I don't know. Anybody else?
Sean, right here. I want to go back to your training real quick. How was training with Johnny the other day?
So they're going to talk about MMA stuff and technicalities after that. But before that, let's get to the psychological aspects of this, right? So for one, he mentions a couple of things here, right? He mentions about how he believes that women should not be in the workforce or this and that. Now, does he have a point to that? To a certain extent, he does. If you follow a certain ethos or a certain trajectory of a cultural practice, he's 100% correct. If you look at the people that he's admired, right, the Chechenians, the Brazilians, people that have this hyper masculine culture that one can argue may not or may still exist in America, or maybe not so much, right? That is basically where Sean Strickland is getting at with these particular comments. Now, the thing is how these comments are going to be taken. It's a PR nightmare, okay? And take it from someone like myself who studies this particular part of the game, which is public relations, media relations, promotions, and things of that nature. This is an absolute disaster for him to say these things. Why? Because even though I do understand the things that he's saying and the things that he's trying to convey, at the same time, to the general mass audience, especially to the casuals that you're trying to attract, put this in perspective for a second. If you're a casual in mixed martial arts, you're probably not going to be the most well-thoughtful person there is. And I'm sorry to say that. If you're a casual in mixed martial arts, you're not the type of guy that's going to try to figure out leg locks, how to get out of submission holds, how to get out of Kimura locks, how to get out of a half guard position, or how to transition yourself from one position on the ground to the other, or how to escape from being mounted, or how to place a mount. These are extremely complicated aspects of mixed martial arts that I just don't think the average person is really going to think about or ponder. So if you're not going to do that, how much more are you going to ponder on the complexities of the mixed martial arts and its media entities, and the way that they operate in their business, the way that they promote fights, the culture of the sport in and of itself, all these complicated matters. Gino says, Izzy is Chinese and African and Australian, like Strickland's rants, because nobody else has the gall to call him out. He's correct about that. The women in the kitchen line, though, couldn't believe he was allowed to say that. Yeah, there could be some implications in that, or if not, maybe they're just going to run with it. And like what I said in the description, perhaps maybe become the next Stone Cold Steve Austin at that. And then Gino also writes, UFC is owned by Disney, who is the most far left media company you will find. Yeah, you're 100% right about that. Glad they have a deal with Sean. And these things Sean says don't make the headlines because at this point it's expected. Okay, so that's exactly what I was citing right there, and you're onto something with that comment. This is why I kind of compare Sean Strickland to Stone Cold Steve Austin at that. Because at the time, right, a lot of people didn't really look at Stone Cold Steve Austin as the quintessential superstar of wrestling, because prior to him, you had Hulk Hogan, who was very colorful, had the bright yellow, had the American flag. You had the Ultimate Warrior, who had these huge muscles on top of these gear that he had that was also colorful, that had the matching, like crazy graffiti looking colors that they had in the 90s and 80s, right? So then you have Stone Cold Steve Austin, who just wears plain black trunks, plain black boots, all inspired by the attires of Mike Tyson as this no-nonsense character, this BMF type of persona that he had going on, right? So yeah, Stone Cold Sean Strickland. That's right. That's exactly why I had mentioned that, because Sean Strickland is literally that guy. Like let's think about this, right? This is you say that you can't believe that he was allowed to say any of these things, right? Well, you also said another good point is that, and these things Sean says don't make the headlines because at this point it's expected. Yeah, it's expected because this is what we know Sean Strickland to be. Somebody that's brash, somebody that will say what he wants, somebody that, will not really give a damn about your feelings to any degree. And to a lot of people and a segment of mixed martial arts hardcores out there, they love this stuff.
Johnny.
The person that finally showed up.
Oh, fucking Johnny, dude. Johnny's the man, dude. Let me tell you guys. I got solid fucking fans, and you guys are all half retarded, which I respect. So I'm walking, I'm doing normal guy shit walking, and fucking this guy stops and comes up to me. Now I go to grab my gun because I'm thinking, why is this motherfucker coming up to me? Dash Uber driver or some shit, and he starts shadowboxing me, telling me how he's fucked up all these Russians. So me being the fucking good guy that I am, I'm like, dude, well, if you got some moves, come to the gym. And the motherfucker showed up. Like, it was awkward. You ever hit on a fat girl online, right? Maybe every now and then you run into this fat girl and you're like, oh man, you're extra fat in person. Like, and you try to just forget about all of that. And you try to deflect. So that was like my fat girl in person situation. So I ran this motherfucker. Yeah, he showed up, he sparred, he brought it too. He hit me like once. So that was motherfucker. Yeah, Johnny's a good guy. You guys need to be more like Johnny. But I don't know what's your name, dude, with the gold watch.
Oscar.
Oscar's your name? What the fuck, dude? Aren't you like English?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a gay name for an English man.
It's been 12 minutes before you started, and we finally got to gay.
Listen, I love the fucking gays. All right, calm down. I don't hate your fucking life choices. I don't hate your fucking husband. But anyways, I'm not a huge fan of the trannies. But
Of course, he had a.
anyways, yeah, man. Oscar kickboxes. I mean, he's not very good, but he does it. So yeah, dude. I don't know about you, man, but once you finally get some hair on your nutsack, you should probably start kickboxing. You train at all? How old are you?
19.
What organization? What do you report on?
UNLV TV.
Oh, UNLV TV. This guy has all the pussy, dude. Not all I say that. You got a girlfriend, bro?
No, sir.
You slaying the pussy at UNLV?
I mind my business.
Oh, this motherfucker don't slay the pussy, dude. But anyways, dude, maybe you start training, grow a little bit of hair on your nuts, fix your fucking hair, and you'll start getting that UNLV pussy. I already know this motherfucker. Once he hits like 28, he's gonna try to go slay that UNLV pussy. Dude, you gotta do it now, bro. Do it now.
Sean, did you ever think before or even after your motorcycle accident that you would be fighting in your 5th main event?
Oh man, I'm not a huge fan of planning. I just kind of do this shit as I go. Just ask the IRS. I'm just doing this shit as I go. So I don't know, man. After my motorcycle accident was hard, cause really I was fucking poor. California just fucking took their taxes I owed them. I couldn't pay them, you guys. I had a choice, pay my taxes or fucking, go broke. So it was a weird time, man. I was looking at different jobs, what can I fucking do? And yeah, it was weird. Here we are though, right? Here we are talking to you fine people.
We haven't heard much from Dale Brown after you challenged him to fight
Dale Brown
out in the desert.
Bro, fucking Dale Brown. I would kill that fucking man. How does it we can all agree that he's a fraud. Are there any? I know you in the back. You might be a Dale Brown. Fucking. What's your name?
I'm Wyatt.
Wyatt. That's a good American name. Wyatt, I like that. What? Yeah.
Good old American name. Hey, who remembers Harold and Kumar when they got pulled over in one of these random New Jersey towns, and one of the cops went up to him. They're like, "Hey, what's your name? Harold and Kumar? Whatever happened to good old American names like Bob or John?" Or something like. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing the line. I probably didn't get the line word for word, but if you're a fan of Harold and Kumar, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But what Sean Strickland is talking about, I wanted to segue this into another. Well, I'm not segueing anything to another topic, but a side topic with Commander Dale Brown. Right, all these tactical experts, these guys that talk about how they know about self-defense or how they can catch a bullet with swinging a bat at it, or or something crazy to that effect, right? All these social media influencers that are in the defense scene or some sort of self-defense scene. Now, what's interesting about this, right, is that Sean Strickland, for the type of guy that he is, right, he is definitely the type of guy that would symbolize somebody that would be calling out Commander Dale Brown. Now, here's the thing. The reason why it's interesting is because Sean Strickland is a no-nonsense, truth-telling type of guy, and even to his own detriment and even to his own self-deprecation, he will go out there and make fun of himself and then make fun of others at their expense. Just as long as he's somehow telling some kind of version of truth in the way that he sees it, right? So he's very genuine about that. And the fact is he's a badass cage fighter, probably top 10 in the world at 185. So there is this aspect of realism into the fact that he can really go out there and hurt anybody that he wants to that is not within the top 5 of the 185 division anywhere in the world. And then here comes this Commander Dale Brown that's going around telling people that they can defend, he can help them defend themselves or this and that. Well, here's another interesting thing about why he came across this Commander Dale Brown guy. I think they were at a gun store in Las Vegas and they got into a little tussle to where Sean Strickland kind of got the better of him in the grappling exchanges where he pushed him right into this glass divider of some sort at a gun store and try to basically assert a certain level of dominance against Dale Brown, saying that whatever it is that you teach, it's not going to work with me or any of your BS that you're trying to spew, right? In terms of self-defense tactics, hand-to-hand combat and whatnot. So yeah, just a little backstory on why they're mentioning Dale Brown, and if you guys have any idea on who that guy is.
Fan of Dale Brown there, Wyatt?
I don't even know who that is.
Okay, there we go. Maybe whenever Dale Brown gets on the TikToker, you'll know who he is.
Who that is?
But nah, dude, he's just a fucking piece of shit, dude. You know, it's actually funny enough, dude. He has this like white wife, you know, like, you know, he's with a white woman, every black man's dream. Chris Curtis, I'm proud of you, buddy. Chris Curtis, by the way,
And by
just having a new baby. So
partners,
you know, maybe we could start maybe we could give Kurt some gifts or something. So, anyways, I think his wife knows he's full of shit. And I think that he is legit. I think he really believes it. Because I'm sitting there at the gun store talking shit to him, like kind of talking shit to him, but like pumping him up, like, oh, that's so cool. And his wife is giving me this evil eye, like this evil look. And I'm like, so I think she knows that he's a fucking fraud and he's full of shit. And I think he just truly believes it. That his wife's a real fucking cunt, though. Like his wife, bro, like she has like, I'm a fucking cunt written all over her face. If you guys ever met her wife, next time you meet her, you're like, oh, this girl's a fucking cunt. Cunt's a great word, by the way.
Finally, for me, what do you think of Jared Cannonier's performance over Marvin?
Oh man, Marvin, dude, Marvin's on that short bus. Well, I said beat Marvin, but no. Here's the thing about Marvin, you guys. I always say Marvin's dumb, but he's not dumb. Like he's not stupid. Like the man could probably count. I think he probably counts better than me, dude. I fucking dropped out of elementary school. I mean, I was homeschooled, but whatever, man. It still counts. As you can see, my social skills I'm learning as I go. So fucking Marvin, dude, like he's just fucking stupid, dude. We're like, the moment he puts, like, there's a coach, man, you guys really get me go. You guys are really getting me to go here. I'm gonna fucking do it. There's this coach. What the fuck's his name? Dewey fucking Cooper. And I like Dewey Cooper. I think Dewey Cooper is a stand-up fucking guy. He's a great guy. But like Dewey Cooper, man, like this fucking guy. Marvin went to Vegas, and I wanted Marvin to come to Vegas so bad. And then right when he got to Vegas, he got in bed with Dewey Cooper. I don't know if you guys follow Dewey Cooper, but Dewey Cooper is like the TikTok coach. He's a guy that's like, all right, you guys, I'm gonna have a speech. Everybody settle down. Give me a camera. Like, he wasn't a great kickboxer. Man, I'm gonna fucking have to fight this guy when I see him now. I'm gonna see this guy in the gym. Me and him are fucking fighting. He wasn't a great kickboxer. He wasn't good at all. I mean, if you look at his record, it's all fucking red. But for some reason, this fucking man has a stable of fighters, and he's like a glorified cardio kickboxing coach. And I just don't understand how and this is what I'm fucking talking about with you Instagram fucks and you TikTok or you younger generation. Like, it's so easy to be a fucking fraudulent motherfucker.
Okay, so once again, Sean Strickland dropping some gems and some bombs on here, right? But I will got to push back on a little bit of that, though, because here's the thing. What he's talking about is, how is Dewey Cooper this top-level coach, but he's had all these losses? Well, here's the thing. Conor McGregor is a double champion, but you look at the record that he has going on as a coach versus Michael Chandler right now in the Tough Ultimate Fighter house. I mean, does that really say much of anything? Because in other words, what I'm trying to say is that, is it possible that you can be an awesome fighter, top level, top 10, top 5 world champion, but yet be a very horrible coach? That's 100% possible, but is it also possible that you can be one of the worst fighters in the world, or maybe have zero fighting experience at all, and still be one of the best coaches in the world? Absolutely. Ben Davison in boxing is a great example of that. By the way, if you guys don't know who Ben Davison is, he's the boxing coach, or a boxing coach of none other than Tyson Fury, the really young looking guy, right? And a lot of people are saying that he never really had any amateur fights. He never had any pro fights or anything like that. So they start thinking to themselves, like, how is this guy a coach? But for some reason, he wins fights with a lot of top boxers out there. So he's doing something right. Jason Perillo, by the way, the former coach of, not former coach, but he's still a coach, but Rather, the former coach of during Michael Bisping's career, Jason Perillo, was never a mixed martial arts fighter. He never had any MMA fights or anything like that. He was actually a pro boxer, but he was a pro boxer that became an MMA trainer. So somewhere down the line, he kind of understood the striking of MMA and made it formidable to his boxing knowledge, and then somehow become this useful MMA coach. And that can be a possibility. For Zahabi, yes, he had maybe a few amateur fights, never really had any pro fights, but nonetheless, he's one of the best coaches in the world. So just a little pushback on Sean Strickland on that. I see what he's saying. I understand maybe he has problems with his Dewey Cooper guy, but I think just for the sake of understanding mixed martial arts as a whole, or understanding the sport for what it is, I personally don't think you have to be a top-level pro or a top-level amateur to be a good coach. And at the same time, you can be the best fighter in the world and you may not really know how to coach. But that's a reality of that. So continue on with.
So the issue with Marvin is he went to Dewey Cooper's cardio kickboxing, and he's just been smashing pads. He's not getting better. He's not improving. He's not like Marvin needs someone to break him down, to bring out the fucking coloring book, to say, all right, Marvin, this is what you got to do. And I really think that after this fight, maybe he sees a light and now he just goes full-time extreme, because he's not an extreme fighter. He may spar with us once or twice, but he's not an extreme fighter. And the moment he finally sacks the fuck up and puts somebody in a position of authority, and Marvin's the kind of guy, like, I don't need to put people in authority to me. I don't need a coach. I like Eric. He's a stand-up fucking guy. He's a good leader. But Marvin's the kind of guy, dude, that he needs to worship you. He needs to be like you are in a position of authority. So, in conclusion to this fucking rant.
Well, let me break down a little bit of that rant, which I think there's a technical mixed martial arts side to this. And I think Sean has brought up something really important here. Different guys need different coaching patterns. Now, the type of coaching pattern that Sean Strickland has going on, believe it or not, in the mixed martial arts version of it, it reminds me of Floyd Mayweather. Why do I say that? Well, for one, Sean Strickland has this type of style where he can go on pilot mode in the way that he fights. It's hard to explain, but the way that he goes in there, it's not like he's doing anything of like any significant movements. And what I mean by significant movements, I mean like someone like Yair Rodriguez, you see him do cartwheel kicks, spinning heel kicks and stuff like that, spinning back kicks, spinning attacks, all these crazy acrobatic movements that he does, right? Sean Strickland's not that guy. He's a 1-2 punch combination type of guy, front kick, 1-2 punch combination, front kick, and maybe a few leg kicks here and there, and then maybe a few attempts of a head kick, but punch, 1-2, 1-2, jab, jab. That's the rhythm of Sean Strickland in a nutshell. With somebody like Sean Strickland, in the way that he fights, in the way that he's always been in the gym, in the way that he performs in sparring against these guys, it's no different than what he does in a fight. He's on pilot mode. He's doing the same thing over and over again. Jab, cross, maybe a few hooks here and there, very few uppercuts, front kick, jab, punch, cross. That's the trajectory in a linear path of Sean Strickland's fighting style. That's basically all that he does. It's not hard to understand. So he knows what he needs to do, but he still has a coach, but he doesn't need a coach to hold his hand. Now, there are guys out there that, especially in the amateur ranks, right? And guys that are even very inexperienced professionals at that. It's in the trajectory of sometimes you do need somebody to give you instructions. Like, for example, I remember I did a Muay Thai fight back in 2010, right? When I did this Muay Thai fight, it was probably no more than a 2 days notice. So I hopped on, I made weight. I fought on a Saturday morning in some gym that had a ring set up for an event in Natomas right here in Sacramento. So I went in there And my coach at the time, Jeff Baca from Muay Thai Lao, or he was at Muay Thai Lao and then went into Collective Combat Academy, which was a gym by the North Highlands area here in Sacramento. This was during the time where I was also training with Team Alpha Male. But nonetheless, I had him corner me that day. And, he would tell me, hey, go to the left, go to the right, go to this direction or this and that. And it was like, wow, you know what? I did everything that he told me to do. I went and stepped into the direction that he told me to get at. He told me to, pick between my punches and kicks while I'm in this position. It all worked. It was all connecting. And I ended up obviously winning that fight. So it was a great chemistry, and it was a great way of coaching me in terms of that particular fight and dealing with a particular opponent who was a strong striker, had good power kicks, really used a lot of their power, which in that fight, I had to go use my speed in order to counter someone like that, and having the right coaching really helped. So I think Sean Strickland is onto something there. There are some guys out there that they need their hands held, but at the same time, there are guys that just maybe need a little bit of instruction. But nonetheless, the one thing that we all have in common is that we all need coaching and somebody that can hold us accountable when we're not holding ourselves accountable, to have the best performance out of us in any way that we can produce. So continue on with Sean.
I know Marvin got a little beat up, but in conclusion, I think there's a bright future for Marvin. I think he just needs to have a better leadership, and he works his fucking ass off. If you told Marvin to stand on this stage with 1 foot and he'll win a fight for a week, motherfucker would stand there on one leg. So I think he has a bright future. He just needs the better people driving the short bus, because as of now, the short bus driver also belongs on the short bus.
Is a podcast with Marvin Vittori still something you're willing to pursue?
Dude, funny thing about Marvin, dude, me and Marvin been in so many fights. He's always angry at me. I don't know why. I'm the nicest fucking guy, dude. So Marvin's gonna watch this and be like, well, fuck you, Sean. And I would like to give him there. We might have a fight on the podcast. But again, I like Marvin. We're gonna do the right things, dude. We're all gonna do the right fucking things. I like your mustache, by the way, dude. That's a good looking mustache.
I have a question for you about the Shaylee lip thing that you put on Instagram. I was wondering,
Shaylee, who?
The fighter that died that Dana mentioned.
Oh, I'm just looking at that cock broom on your face.
I was wondering.
Continue.
I was wondering.
Have you ever asked a woman for a mustache ride? Don't fucking lie to me.
No.
You fucking loser. How do you have a cock broom like that and not ask for one mustache ride? This motherfucker, dude.
Why did you decide that you wanted to talk about her career in that and not just about the posting of
So here's the thing, you guys. She was hot, right? She posted a picture of her laying on bed with her ass out. I liked it. I mean, I kind of felt guilty for liking it, but I fucking liked it, The only reason why people posted her, again, what Dana did, honorable motherfucker. Dana's seen it. It got posted to her, and Dana's like, I'm going to do the right fucking thing. So I respect Dana for doing that. But then you have all these bandwagon fucking idiots, dude. They go and they look at this little white girl's Instagram. Meanwhile, let's set the stage. A Brazilian fighter got hit by a fucking bus and died. No one gave a fuck about that guy. When I read it, I was like, God damn, dude, if you can't dodge a bus, that's why you're not in the UFC. That was my first joke when I read that, and I stand by it. It's fucking hilarious. But the only reason why these fucking ass.
All right, so here's something really interesting about that, about what he's talking about, right? Now, this goes into the subway Titanic tragedy that had gone on, right? Because obviously, while that was going on, they had these Pakistani migrants that were trying to get into Italy and drowned on the boat. And this happened all in the same week as the Ocean Gate situation going on with the Titanic sinking and all that in the submarine. Now, he's onto something here, right? And what he's basically talking about is this video of this female fighter that was going to aspire to be in a UFC, wasn't in a UFC yet, but had a certain level of following because she had the right look and the way that Sean is conveying this message. I mean, he's not wrong. She's white. So everybody was interested in this girl for the same reason why everybody was interested in Ronda Rousey, Paige Van Zant, all these Barbie dolls that they're trying to market as these fighting heroes to the white mothers of America, right? So Sean Strickland is onto something like that, whereas he's basically saying that this random Brazilian fighter, and I don't know if he's talking about a real story or a hypothetical story as some sort of like example that he's trying to convey with his message. But yeah, there are guys out there like that every day that die and nobody really cares. I can tell you one guy that died during the time of when I was training full time. I remember this one guy named Ray Ray. Right, I trained with him at Collective Combat Academy in Del Paso. Was it Del Paso or North Highlands? Right around that area. So nonetheless, the guy fought a lot. Right, he was fighting multiple times. Even when after he took a loss, he went in and fought again. I think he fought one of these Team Alpha Male guys at some Native American tribal area somewhere in the right here in the Northern California area. He took the fight. He took one fight after another, and then he just had this swelling brain damage that ended up killing him. Right, and of course, this is a guy that was a young pro at the time that I was training with him. Wasn't really a well-known pro or this and that. Nonetheless, he ended up dying, and no one has really heard about him other than the people that we know in his circle, other than the people that we knew that trained with him and that trained with us. And that was that. Nobody really knew. There was no tribute to any kind. There wasn't any, there wasn't any like huddle with the MMA community, or they didn't have like this, 10 bell rings to commemorate him with any organization that he has fought around here, whether it was with the Gladiator Warriors or with the King of the Cage or anything like that, or any of these tribal casinos that he has fought under, right? None of that he was, featured in. But he was a training partner. He was a fighter. Some can argue maybe a journeyman fighter at that. But just a fighter like anybody else who died because of constant brain swelling that he had sustained over time. And nobody really gave a damn, for lack of a better term, right? I mean, we did because we knew him, but what about the wider MMA community? So, yeah, it's kind of crazy how all of that relates, especially with the example that I had mentioned with the migrants that were trying to go into Italy and then having that subway Titanic sinking on the same week. But yeah, continue on with Sean Strickland from here.
Assholes post, what's Buckley post, all these guys post, is because she was a hot, young, white woman with a shitty amateur record. And just all you guys saying, I know your name, fuck you. The only way you would know that girl's name is if you try to fucking slide in her DM. Shut the fuck up, you losers. And that's a fact. And if you don't like that, dude, then fucking, I don't know, man. Go fucking join Wyatt on TikTok.
There was a video that came out not too long ago of you sparring two guys at once. What went on when you guys thought about doing that?
That was actually Saturday. I was sparring each of them, and I said, you guys suck. Maybe if we spar both you guys together, it would be more fair. And they said, nah, fuck that. We're going to beat you up. I'm like, that's not happening. Those two guys were Juice, PFL, Chris Curtis, UFC. And it was good, man. Have you ever been in a fight before?
Yeah.
I mean, you're Mexican, bro. Where are you from?
I'm Colombian.
Colombian. Okay, there we go. Were you from Colombia?
I was born in Miami Beach, but my family's from Bogota.
So are you Colombian?
Yeah, my whole family's Colombian.
Okay, are you sure you're Colombian? What is Colombian? What is it?
Okay, so this is one of my favorite parts of this particular interview right here. And again, it goes back into identity politics that play into MMA. But I'm going to make a comment of that after this right here.
Ethnicity of Colombian. Is it just Colombian? Is that... So what you're saying is you're a fucking American. You're a fucking American with Hispanic roots. And if you're a fucking Colombian, get your ass back to fucking Colombia. And this is the problem with the fucking America, dude. And this is why it makes me so mad. You get these motherfuckers and you ask somebody like, oh, where are you from? Generic Mexican guy, Hispanic. He goes, I'm Mexican. No, motherfucker, you are not Mexican. You are a fucking American. You're a U.S. fucking citizen. If you don't even know your fucking nationality, get the fuck out of this country.
All right. So to a lot of people, that may come across as harsh, but I sort of understand what he means. And I have a little bit of some pushback on what he says, but I also have some things that I agree on what he says. And let me explain to you why. Okay. So, number one, your ethnicity and your nationality are not exactly tied together, right? Not exclusively. Unless, of course, you come from a homogeneous country, then that's a different story. But for the most part, if you live in the Western world, and we're talking about the Five Eyes, right? And when I mean the Five Eyes, I'm talking about the five Western countries that all speak English, that all trust each other, and all their governments share secrets with each other in that allyship that they have going on in that special relationship within these countries, right? That being America, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and Australia, and yeah. So nonetheless, when you live in these countries or in other Western countries other than the Five Eyes, let's say Germany, let's say Netherlands, let's say France, right? You notice these countries are not all exclusively indigenous white. In fact, a lot of them have many immigrants, but different immigrant groups. For example, you look at in the West Coast, you have Armenians, you have Chinese, Koreans, Vietnamese, Japanese stemming from the World War II days, Mexicans. And then in the East Coast, you have Puerto Ricans, you have Dominicans, you have people from different parts of the Caribbean, you have people from Portugal that are migrating to New Jersey, to New York. You have people that are, let's say, Colombian, right? Or people that come from, let's say, even Canada. Maybe even like Montreal, you see a lot of transports that are from Montreal and then they go into New York, which is what George St. Pierre was, which is why he trained jiu-jitsu in New York while he was living in Montreal and went back and forth during his earlier days in his contendership in the UFC, right before he was world champion, before he fought Matt Hughes and all that. So these are the different dynamics of the Western world and the different nationalities that make up who they are. Like, for example, we know that LA is very Mexican centric for the same similar fashion as, let's say, you go to Luton or London, where a lot of these places are Pakistani influence or Indian influence. You look at their prime minister, Rushnak, he's of Indian descent, but he's as British as they come. And this is where Sean Strickland is getting at. What he's getting at is there are people out there that love to claim they're from a different country, but let's say they're Mexican, but yet they live in Wisconsin or something to that effect. Now, are they really Mexican? Do they really share the same experience as, let's say, somebody who lives in Tijuana? Because those are two totally different living situations. If you live in the Midwest or if you live in the West Coast of America, over the border of San Diego, and not on the other side of the border of San Diego, you're going to have a different trajectory of life, whether that would be quality of life, whether that would be certain linguistic expressions or cultural settings. That is literally what Sean Strickland is talking about. Now, the way that it comes out, is it harsh? Does it sound a bit sort of xenophobic, or does it sound a bit crazy? It depends. But more on the things that he's about to say right now. And by the way, he mentions Muhammad Makayev here, which, to my surprise, he supported Muhammad Makayev for wearing the English flag, for flying the British colors, because obviously Muhammad Makayev came from Dagestan and he was a refugee, was welcomed into England and prospered himself into the amateur ranks through their mixed martial arts programs that they have in the gyms. And obviously he had a wrestling background coming from Dagestan, and then he came and perfected his overall mixed martial arts skills training in the United Kingdom. And then obviously after he got a sponsorship from the government of Bahrain, they went in there and cultivated his career to the next level. But nonetheless, Paddy the Paddy Pimblett had problems with none other than Muhammad Mokaev for wearing the British flag. And why is that? Well, because of the fact that Muhammad Mokaev was proud to rock the British flag, but then Paddy the Baddy said that you're not even born here. You don't have the right to rock this flag. To my surprise, Sean Strickland comes into defense of Muhammad Mokaev and say, yeah, you know what? You live in that country. They took care of you. You have every right to rep it. And Paddy is wrong on this one. And you'll see what he's talking about right here.
Sorry. But again, you know, like Benil, he just fought. Like Benil, dude, I love Benil. Benil is from Iraq, Iran, some shithole Middle East country. Benil is the most American motherfucker. He will tell you, I'm a fucking American. I love freedom. I love fucking guns. I hate the IRS. So, like, you know, man, you are Hispanic. With you could say that I have Cuban descent. But yeah, this man knows how he looks like he knows how to fight. With those big ass fucking glasses, you better know how to fight. But yeah, no, it was just fun. It was a good time, you guys. Good fucking time. But how do you feel about that, dude? I mean, like, how do you feel about motherfuckers like coming to your, what are you, English? How do you feel about motherfuckers coming to your country and then like not even like they're citizens of your country and they're not even flying that fucking flag when they fight?
I don't really have an opinion on that, but I understand what you mean when Americans say, "Oh, I'm Irish," and it's like, well, your grandparents were Irish.
Yeah. But you know that one fucking fag from you guys, that one fag that you guys have, the fucking guy with the gay haircut, Patty.
Yeah, look, that's interesting right there. Just before I let Sean finish his video here, I think that's interesting because, yeah, you do see a lot of Irish Americans claim that they're from, like, well, not that they claim that they're from Ireland, but they claim that they're Irish, but never really are from Ireland or doesn't have the accent or has lived through, let's say, the struggles that Irish people have had to go through in their 2014 recession of some sort, right? So Sean Strickland has a point here. And once again, this goes into the aspect of identity politics that comes into mixed martial arts. Because even before Conor McGregor, I mean, think about how attractive it was for just regular white Americans to go out and claim that they're Irish. I mean, imagine if you were a Boston Celtics fan, right? You've never been to Ireland, right? But you live in Boston. And then every year you have these St. Patty's Days parades and this and that. And I mean, look, that's the reality of this whole situation, right? Again, once again, identity politics, right? You know, it's like, well, why not just claim to be American, right? If, you know, you're from this side of the world, rather than just trying to claim something that you're not, just because your ancestors had this bloodline from that part of the world in which you have no attachment towards or had any experience in. But nonetheless, let's continue on with Sean here.
But like, see, I'm not that guy. Like, he was giving that one guy shit for representing England. Motherfucker was like, he was from some shitty country, came to England, and he's representing English. He has an English flag, and I give that motherfucker props. Like, I'm not going to hate on you, dude. You go to a country and you represent that country, fucking hats off to you, man. So Patty was fucking wrong on that one. Yeah, guys, that's good chats.
And one last one. You mentioned Saad Busi not too long ago. How has it been seeing how far he has come over the years?
Oh, man, Saadi's a savage, bro. In the last, like, you know, from when he first came to train with us to now, the guy I think could be a UFC champion. Like, he's that legit. He's that fucking good. And, you know, I just fucking, yeah, he works his ass off. He always spars me. Like, he's just a good fucking solid guy. His wife just got pregnant too. So, you know, another million will make him another happy. So, yeah, he's just a good fuck. He's one of those fucking guys, you know, when you meet him, you're like, I want you to fucking win in life. I want you to fucking win. Yeah, good guy. All right.
All right. So I think what's really interesting about that is, well, let's take a little review on everything that Sean Strickland has said here, right? Now, look, if this is Colby Covington coming up here, right, we would all just cringe and say, oh, gimmick this and gimmick that, right? And there's some truth to that because, let's face it, let's understand one thing about Colby Covington. He's a character. He means to be a character, and he makes no bones about being that guy. And he will tell you flat out and tell you that, like, hey, look, I'm here to play a character. I'm not really that guy. But then on some days, he doesn't break character. He stays with this entire gimmick that he has going on. And then you just don't know at a certain point who is the real Colby Covington. With Sean Strickland, you know damn well everything that he's saying is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, whether you like it or not. Now, me personally, there's a lot of things that he says that I'm not going to like, and then there's a lot of things that he says that I do like. But nonetheless, the one thing that I can say about Sean Strickland, he's good for MMA, and going into this fight, he really hyped this card up in terms of just a regular fight night, again, on an Apex card. And by the way, a return of none other than Kevin Lee into this card. And now he's fighting this newcomer, a boost that we've never really seen fight in at least in in top level shows or in top level pay-per-view events. But now he's headlining against Sean Strickland. So let's take a look at some of his interview pieces, right? Because obviously he is fighting Sean Strickland. So it'll be really
I've been in and out of therapy with BetterHelp for a few.
What type of mental trajectory he's at and try to understand his mental space in comparison to, let's say, Sean Strickland. So let's play this guy's interview right here. Shout out to MMA Junkie. Okay, here we go. Yeah, Max Griffin is on this.
We are as part of a UFC headliner main event. I guess what's the feeling like for you ahead of this fight?
У тебя главное событие в UFC.
Yeah.
Какие чувства ты испытываешь перед этим?
Yeah, I feel great. I'm happy about the decision, and Saturday night just to show.
Certainly, you have a lot of experience, but people I don't think were expecting you to be in a UFC main event already. What did you think when they first approached you about this opportunity?
I can understand the guys who think like you said, but after the fight, they all will be quick, be quiet.
You've been building to this for a long time in your career, but
Long time.
the last
Thank
3
you.
years or so, it's
Lauren
been tough to get
Strickland,
fights and
I
stay
wonder
busy.
if,
What is this
you
time
have any
been like for you?
relation, or maybe this is
This
Sean
was
Strickland's
really
third count.
for everyone fighter. It's really hard to stay always in shape.
Yeah, I wanted to address that real quick. Strong title. Yeah, look, the reason why I named this title that is, it's exactly what you get. Look, Sean Strickland was a former Nazi gang member in Southern California. And why I wanted to call that gang member in Southern California, a lot of people don't understand is that Nazi gangs in and of itself is exactly what it is. They are gangs, right? Just because they don't look like the Bloods or the Crips or the Latin Kings or anything like that, it doesn't mean that they're not a gang. They're a gang, but they're a gang that is just a little bit different than other ethnic gangs or the stereotypical the mental image that we have of gangs. But nonetheless, that shows you why us human beings, we're all not that different, right? We all work in tribes and packs, and sometimes we thrive better that way. So,
if the fight always canceled, you are just in preparation. But I know in the end I will get my chance, and now it's a day. Yeah.
This guy is.
Was there ever a moment that you lost the faith or lost trust that this was going to happen? You thought maybe my dream isn't going to happen?
Of course, I think, but my family, my friends who are around me, they always push me. They say, "Hey, let's go, keep going. One day you will get your chance." Yeah.
Very nice. You get to match up with Sean Strickland. What do you think of him as a fighter, as an opponent? What he brings to?
Yeah, he's tough guy, tough opponent. He's.
What did Lawrence over here say? He said, LOL, I'm his older brother. There was no gangs, LOL, but I think your story is better. Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah. Hey, you know what? That's what this is all about, right? With MMA content, right? You got to have your own story because everybody's going to talk about the fights. Everybody's going to talk about the breakdowns. Everybody's going to talk about the kicks and the punches. Yes, Do I have experience training with top level guys? Yes, I've trained with a Team Alpha Male out here in Sacramento. I've trained with different fighters from around the world, different boxers, Muay Thai fighters, Jiu-Jitsu guys, wrestlers, high school wrestlers, college wrestlers, Olympic wrestlers, all that. Taekwondo Olympic medalists, right? I've trained with all these different types of guys. But aside from just talking about the kicks and punches, one of the best things that you can do with MMA content is you got to tell a story, right? You have your own creative path in how you're going to tell the story of these guys, tell the story of these fights. And by the way, there is no right or wrong in MMA. And that's the beautiful part about it is you can tell the story in any way that you can in your own creative mindset. So more on the psychology of Abu Smagomedov here.
Like, he have a lot of experience with 5 rounds fights. He fought already against really tough guys. Yeah, but Saturday night it will be my night.
Does this moment feel any different for you? I mean, you fought around the world, but it is, a UFC main event. Is there a little different feel to it at all?
Yeah, there's a little bit pressure maybe. Like, UFC believe in you, give you like big shows, and yeah, it's for me. That's push me, like motivate me.
Like been for you, and does it make you any more excited knowing you're fighting in Vegas?
Yeah, in the Vegas, the first time that I will fight, I always it was always my goal to fight in Vegas because all the big fights is here in Vegas, and finally I get my chance. Yes, I'm happy.
And there've been a couple guys on the roster that see that this is only your second UFC fight, and they're like, "What? Why does he get that?" What's your reaction to that? What do you make of that?
Really, I don't care about the guys who say something or think something. After this fight, they will be, like I said, quite. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Abus,
Yes.
considering it has been 9 months since your UFC debut, how has that extra time benefited you in preparing for this ranked fight against Strickland?
Прошло 9 месяцев с твоего дебюта в UFC. Как эти 9 месяцев помогли тебе подготовиться к такому бойцу, как Шон Стрикленд?
Like, I was in preparation like for March. I had a fight, and the fight was cancelled. After they gave me against some fight in May, then their fight was also cancelled. But I was, like I said, always in the preparation. We have good team. I have good team around me who take care of me. That, and the preparation was really hard. We train like for 10 rounds, not for 5. And I'm ready to die in the cage. I'm there to smash this guy.
Additionally, you've been a coach in the fighter's corner for a little bit of time now. How has that deepened your understanding and bettered you as a fighter?
Также работал как тренер, очень много у тебя учеников, и ты с ними выходишь как тренер. Насколько это помогло тебе понимать, что такое быть в бою? Как бы?
Not really. I'm not really coach. I just support the guys in the corner. That's it. I never train some guys or something like this. They ask me that just for the cornerman, you know, that they feel a little bit maybe better or something like this. But I never was coaching someone.
So notice the contrasting like mental approach that, let's say, Sean Strickland has going on in comparison to this guy. Now with this guy, everything is about matter of fact. There is no joking around. There is no banter. There is no trash talking for the sake of just trash talking. Whereas you look at with Sean Strickland earlier, everything that he basically said about this guy was just low hanging fruit. He called him Abu from Aladdin. And by the way, I have an Abu in my name as well. You know how many times I've heard that growing up? Oh, yeah, Abu Kyrie, Abu El-Kheer. What kind of name is that? Oh, are you from Aladdin or something, or this and that? Are you Aladdin's monkey or something to that effect? So it's like low hanging fruit. It's juvenile in the way that he approaches things, but it's all right. That's Sean Strickland in the way that he approaches things. With this guy, everything is all about I'm a stone cold killer, or I'm just doing this in a very stoic manner. I'm here to go through the motions of doing media day, and then we're gonna weigh in tomorrow, Friday, and then fight Saturday, and then that's it. And I'm prepared for this. And I've gone in there and coached guys. I've gone in there and helped prepare guys for fights, and I'm preparing a fight for myself. Basically, I'm just around fights all the time. And Sean Strickland is no different in that. You've seen him in Chris Curtis's corner during his fights. He's also in the corner of other fighters during like all these different UFC fight weeks. You'll see Sean Strickland in the corner of somebody else or sparring other people that are getting ready for fights, such as none other than Alex Pereira and all that. So more on Abu Smagomedov.
You talked about smashing Strickland. What is your prediction going into Saturday?
The prediction, I can't tell you the prediction, but my goal is always to finish the fight so early as possible, to get KO. This is my goal, and I will try this Saturday the same.
Awesome, thank you.
You mentioned already once you talked about Sean as an opponent, but I'm wondering, what do you think of him as a person? Because he is a little bit controversial sometimes, a little wild. I'm just curious if you have thought about that at all.
If I can say in one word, it's crazy guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So with just one word, he says he is crazy guy.
Grab hole.
He is crazy guy. He says, you know. So that's it. You know, that's the reality of this entire fight. You know, it is nothing more than another fight night. But aside from just another fight night, I mean, it is a fight where Sean Strickland has a chance to write his own story. And look, here's what's really great about mixed martial arts, right? Is that you can write your own story. Obviously, when you watched American History X, what was it about? It was about a guy who, just like Sean Strickland, came up into this era of people that had these anger towards different people or towards society. And then this aspect of being radicalized to a group because you felt marginalized in your own country. And now you realize that, just like the character of American History X with Edward Norton, all these guys that were supposed to be his brothers or guys that were supposed to watch his back never did. And Sean Strickland has mentioned in previous articles and different interviews that that's exactly what these guys did, was they just left him hanging. While he had other friends that were supposedly supposed to be his enemy becoming his friends. And so, again, a very, very dodgy past that Sean Strickland has. But once again, if he can beat this guy during this weekend, you're for sure going to see him get a title shot, because you look at the trajectory of the 185 division right now. You have Robert Whittaker, who's already been in there a couple of times. You have the likes of Marvin Vittori. He's already been in there. Alex Pereira. We've seen that already plenty of times, including in the kickboxing matches against Izzy. And Sean Strickland is just the guy that is right there for the pickings, because the other guy that they want to put up against Israel Adesanya is none other than Dricus du Plessis. But they want to make him earn it, which I think is really ridiculous, because it's like, okay, I get that you want to give Robert Whittaker a shot, but he's lost to Izzy plenty of times. So why not just give the shot to Dricus du Plessis and then have this American History X style promo that they're both going to have? I mean, you have a white South African guy taking on a Nigerian, New Zealand, Australian in Izzy, who doesn't live in Africa. And then there's a contentious aspect of identity politics that plays into that, right? So if, let's say, Dricus doesn't win, and a lot of experts out there are saying that he's not, then who's going to be left other than Sean Strickland? But once again, that's why they call it the theater of the unknown, because you never know how he's going to do this weekend. And if he does well, then guess what? He can go in there and take on Izzy. All he has to do is win, because he has the name. Everybody else, I mean, quite frankly, they just don't have that same compelling story. They don't have that same contentious personality that creates these great stories. Enjoy the fights.